Joe Biden is living up to his reputation as a gaffe machine. Campaigning in Iowa, he had two big blunders, including, well, just watch it. Watch it for yourself.
We choose unity over division. We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over facts.
We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Here's how the president reacted to that today.
Joe Biden is not playing with a full deck. This is not somebody you could have as your president. But if he got the nomination, I'd be thrilled.
Here to debate is Marc Lotter. He is the Strategic Communications Director for Trump's 2020 campaign. And Mark Levine, he's a Virginia state representative and a Democratic strategist. Thank you both for being here. Mark Levine, I want to start with you. Now, Biden's gaffes derailed his past presidential runs. Are you and the Democrats concerned that we're seeing something more than just slips of the tongue?
No, not really. I think Joe Biden is a known quantity, and I think his gaffes are far less than those of the president. So, you know, you did some very selective editing there. You cut out where he said that the poor people can do as well as the wealthy kids and the white kids as much as the black kids. But, you know, he phrased it a little bit wrong. He corrected himself immediately. It's very different from this president that's intentionally using racism and white supremacy to divide the nation. A slip of the tongue is very different.
Mark, even MSNBC in an op-ed today wrote, the former VP and current Democratic frontrunner can't afford for voters to see him as an unpredictable risk. Marc Lotter, is that a danger?
Well, and even the Washington Post asked Democrats whether they should reevaluate their presumed frontrunner and his electability status. But look, let's correct one thing. These are not gaffes. This is a pattern. Let's remember, go back to 2007 when Joe Biden was talking about the problems of education in District of Columbia and talked about how, well, they have higher racial minorities than they do in Iowa. He has said things that were disparaging of Barack Obama. So it is not a gaffe. It's a pattern. And, you know, after two failed tries,
the kettle black here.
After two failed tries, you would think that Joe Biden would learn. It's just blundering Biden all over again.
Go ahead, Mark.
Well, it's crazy to compare a few gaffes by the vice president to Donald Trump's open embrace of white supremacy and racism. He's the author of the birther movement. He's the one who provoked a domestic terrorist to shoot a bunch of Latinos. There wasn't a bunch of Latino
So you
Donald Trump talked about Mexicans and rapists.
Let's not talk
there's
over.
a big difference between.
Mark Levine, you got to give everybody a chance.
Okay, just let me finish my point. There's a big difference between mixing up some words and intentionally
mixing up some words.
Mark, he's done it for over a decade.
Mark Levine and Marc Lotter, please. I watched both these gentlemen today in extended bite. The president held court for 35 minutes before getting on his helicopter. I watched Biden weaving his way through the Iowa fair. Biden does seem a bit addled. He's confused at places, not sure where to go. The stumbling syntax, just as an impression from a voter, I do think it could cause them to perhaps second guess him. I want to move on, though.
Congressman, y'all did this to Hillary Clinton, too. She was a little faint, and then you said, oh, my God, she's dying.
Faint? She was falling. She was falling.
Joe Biden is the Prime Minister of Great Britain.
Okay, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, got to move on to this. She has a new recipe to beat President Trump. I want your reactions.
Well, I think moving the party in a new direction is how we get Trump out of office. I don't think radical is a bad word.
How do you think that'll play in 2020, Marc Lotter?
I welcome it. Please say more of those things, AOC. The more you take the Democrat Party toward the radical left, which is what you endorse, the easier it is for President Trump to win. Every time she talks and every time their candidates talk, the middle of America, people who are moderate are tuning out.
Mark Levine, this is a radical message. I mean, even Nancy Pelosi has had to, you know, put the bridle on some of these congresswomen. Your thoughts?
Sure, AOC is not running for president. She doesn't represent the mainstream of the Democratic Party. I understand why Marc Lotter wants to talk about her a lot. She's one member of Congress. She's not even, as you point out, not represented by the leadership in Congress, Nancy Pelosi. Let her say what she says. She's representing her district, but let's not pretend that she's the face of the Democratic
Party. Let's also remember that most of their candidates signed on to her Green Raw Deal, which will eliminate
Well, the Green New
cars,
Deal is a separate thing. It does not eliminate cars or cows. Come on.
Mark Levine,
that's some fake news out there.
You don't believe that Ocasio-Cortez is is a thought leader in the Democratic Party, given the
I
coverage
think
you get?
actually she's a thoughtful person. She's a socialist. She and Bernie Sanders are the two socialists in Congress. I'm not sure there are others. There may be 2 or 3 more. There's hundreds of members of Congress in the Democratic Party. I think she's an interesting character. She says some interesting things, but I do not think she represents the mainstream of the Democratic Party.
Okay,
No.
before I let you go, I've got to get both of your reactions to this. Kamala Harris is out with a new campaign ad, and it's focused on her 3 a.m. agenda, which is very reminiscent of another former candidate's classic ad. Look.
After we were fed and in bed, our mother would sit up trying to figure out how to make it all work. That's something most Americans know all too well. And that's what my 3 a.m. agenda is all about.
Now, where have I heard 3 a.m. agenda before?
It's 3 a.m. and your children are safe and asleep. Who do you want answering the phone?
I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
What difference does it make? Mark Levin, why
Well,
would Kamala Harris borrow an ad idea from a failed presidential candidate?
Why would Donald Trump borrow Make America Great Again from Ronald Reagan? You can play those 2 clips side
Yeah,
by
but he
side.
won. Ronald Reagan won an election
Hillary
or
Clinton
2.
won by 3 million votes. I mean, she got the majority of the people of America, so she was pretty successful. I understand the Russians invaded and all those things, but I think, look, Kamala Harris, 3 a.m., it's an interesting idea. Who do we want to pick up the phone at 3 a.m.? I think Kamala Harris would be a good choice.
Mark Lauder, I bet you don't agree with that.
Of course not. And look, Kamala Harris's problem is not 3 a.m. or her ad. It's going through Iowa right now, telling people she's going to raise their taxes by $1,400, and 1.9 million people in Iowa are going to have the government come in and take their private health insurance
She's
away.
lowering
That's
middle-class
all we
taxes
need to
by
know.
$500. She's lowering middle-class taxes.
Well,
she
when
might
it's-
raise taxes on people who are billionaires, but
You keep
middle-class,
telling-
the
you
average
keep spinning
Iowan.
that
I have to
narrative.
leave
I
it
read her
there.
plan.
I have to leave it there. And when it's 3 a.m., I hope we're all sleeping. Thank you so much, panel. Up next.